He performed at children's birthday parties. He visited sick kids in hospitals. He dressed as a clown he named Pogo, painted smile, colorful costume, a man that parents trusted with their children. His neighbors described him as friendly, hard-working, generous. He threw block parties. He ran a successful construction company. He shook hands with the First Lady of the United States. And beneath the floor of his house, beneath the very rooms where he entertained guests and watched television and lived his ordinary life, were the bodies of 29 human beings. Buried in the crawl space, 18 inches of mud and darkness, and the remains of young men who had made the mistake of trusting him. John Wayne Gacy murdered 33 people. He was the most prolific serial killer in American history at the time of his arrest. He was also, to everyone who knew him, a perfectly normal man. And that, more than anything else about this case, is what should terrify you. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, in Chicago, Illinois. From the very beginning, the person who damaged him most was the man who was supposed to protect him. His father, John Wayne Gacy Sr., was a World War I veteran, violent, alcoholic, and contemptuous of the son he called a sissy and a failure. He beat Gacy with belts and sticks. He belittled him in front of the family. He made the boy feel that no matter what he achieved, he would never be enough. At 11 years old, Gacy was struck in the head by a swing, causing a blood clot in his brain that went undiagnosed for years, causing blackouts and severe headaches throughout his childhood that nobody investigated or treated. He grew up struggling with his identity, deeply afraid of who he was, in a home where the one person he most wanted approval from made it clear that approval would never come. Here is the question that has haunted psychologists and criminologists for decades. Does a childhood like that explain what Gacy became? Does it excuse it? The answer to the first question is complicated. The answer to the second is no. Whatever happened to John Wayne Gacy as a child, 33 young men paid the price for it with their lives. And none of them deserved to. How does a man who was beaten and humiliated his entire childhood become, to the outside world, the most charming and successful man on the street? And more importantly, how does nobody notice what is happening underneath? By the 1970s, John Wayne Gacy had constructed a version of himself that was the opposite of everything his father had called him. He was not a failure. He was a success. He founded PDM Contractors, a painting, decorating, and maintenance company, and built it into a thriving business, hiring young men to work for him, earning a reputation as a reliable and generous employer. He became a Democratic precinct captain in Norwood Park Township and threw himself into community politics with the same energy he put into everything public. He joined the Jolly Joker Clown Club, performing at neighborhood block parties, charitable events, and children's hospitals as Pogo the Clown, or sometimes Patches. In 1978, he was photographed shaking hands with Rosalynn Carter, the First Lady of the United States, at a Democratic event. The photo was signed and sent to him. He kept it. To his neighbors, to his business contacts, to his political colleagues, John Wayne Gacy was everything a man was supposed to be. Generous, hardworking, community-minded. The kind of man you were glad to have living on your street. The kind of man you trusted with your children. And in the crawl space beneath his house, the bodies were accumulating. What is perhaps the most important and most disturbing fact about the John Wayne Gacy case is not what happened in Chicago. It is what happened in Iowa 10 years earlier. In 1968, Gacy was arrested in Waterloo, Iowa, for the sexual assault of a teenage male employee. He was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in the Iowa State Men's Reformatory. He served 18 months. Inside prison, he was a model inmate. He ran the prison budget, built miniature golf courses for the warden, earned praise from every authority figure around him. He was paroled in 1970 and moved back to Illinois. The system that was supposed to protect the public let John Wayne Gacy walk out of prison after 18 months and return to a city of millions of people. He had a prior conviction for sexual assault of a minor. The warning was there, in writing, on record, and it was ignored completely. If the system had kept Gacy imprisoned for his full 10-year sentence, if parole had been denied, how many of the 33 young men whose names we are about to hear would still be alive today? Gacy hunted with a system. He frequented the Greyhound bus station in downtown Chicago, looking for runaways, hitchhikers, and young men with nowhere to go and nobody who would immediately notice if they disappeared. He targeted his own employees, young men who needed the work, who were grateful for the job, who trusted the man who was paying them. He used a trick he called the handcuff trick. He would invite a victim to his house, offer them a drink, then produce a pair of handcuffs and challenge them to escape, presenting it as a game, a novelty, something to laugh about. The moment the handcuffs were on, the game was over. What followed was a specialized rope device, a garrote, that Gacy used to slowly strangle his victims. He would tighten it, let them lose consciousness, then loosen it until they regained awareness, then tighten it again. He wanted them to know exactly what was happening to them. He wanted them to be fully conscious of what he was doing. This was not impulsive violence. This was a ritual, carefully designed, deliberately executed, repeated 33 times over 6 years. Between January 3rd, 1972, and December 11th, 1978, John Wayne Gacy murdered 33 young men and boys. The youngest was 14 years old. Most were teenagers. Most were working class. Most were the kind of young men that the world does not immediately panic about when they go missing. Runaways, hitchhikers, boys from difficult homes. Young men who were gay or bisexual at a time, when that made them invisible to the systems that should have protected them. His first victim was 16-year-old Timothy McCoy on January 3rd, 1972. Gacy later claimed the murder was accidental, that he woke to find McCoy standing over him with a kitchen knife. Investigators believed the story was invented. What is documented is that after killing Timothy McCoy, Gacy described experiencing what he called an orgasm of the mind. The murders continued for 6 years. Samuel Stapleton was 14. Randall Reffitt was 15. Robert Peast was 15. Gregory Godzik was 17. Michael Bonin was 17. William Carroll was 16. The ages go on. The names go on. 33 of them. 29 buried in the crawl space of a suburban Chicago home. 4 disposed of in the Des Plaines River when the crawl space ran out of room. 8 of them lay unidentified for decades. As of 2025, 5 of Gacy's victims still have no name. Somewhere, there are families who have been missing a son for 50 years and do not know why he never came home. 5 families who have never had an answer. 5 young men who are still waiting to be found. 29 bodies buried under a house in a quiet Chicago suburb. How does a man bury 29 human beings beneath his own floor, beneath the rooms where he entertained guests, threw dinner parties, and lived his daily life without anyone noticing? How does the smell not give it away? How does nobody ask the right question? By 1976, Gacy's second wife, Carol, noticed a persistent, sickening smell rising through the heating vents of their home. Gacy told her it was moisture from the soil beneath the house. She accepted the explanation. They divorced that same year, not because of the smell, but because of Gacy's increasingly erratic behavior and his complete loss of sexual interest in her. The smell stayed. On December 11th, 1978, 15-year-old Robert Peast disappeared after going to speak to Gacy about a construction job at a pharmacy where Peast worked. His mother reported him missing immediately. Des Plaines police investigator Joe Kozenzak ran Gacy's name and found the prior Iowa conviction. He placed Gacy under 24-hour surveillance. What happened next became one of the most documented examples of criminal arrogance in American legal history. Gacy knew he was being watched. He invited the surveillance officers into his home for coffee. He took them to bars. He laughed with them. He boasted openly, repeatedly, that he was too smart for them. He was not panicking. He was performing. And the whole time, less than a meter beneath the feet of the officers drinking his coffee, were the remains of 29 young men. On December 13th, 1978, police executed a search warrant on 8213 West Summerdale Avenue. While searching the house, officers noticed something rising through the floor heating vents. A sickening, damp, sweet stench that experienced investigators immediately recognized as the smell of decomposing human remains. On December 21st, under mounting pressure and facing the evidence accumulating against him, Gacy cracked. He confessed to his lawyers and then to police. He told them he had killed about 30 people and buried them in his crawl space. What followed was one of the most grueling forensic excavations in American criminal history. Over the freezing Christmas week of 1978, investigators crawled into the crawl space beneath John Wayne Gacy's home. It was 18 inches high. Officers had to dig with their bare hands and small trowels through cold mud, in conditions that caused several of them to vomit from the smell. They pulled up skeleton after skeleton after skeleton. 29 bodies in total. The investigation would expand to 4 more victims disposed of in the Des Plaines River, bringing the total to 33 confirmed murders. At what point does a man who has buried 29 people under his own house believe he is still going to escape? At what point does the arrogance become something beyond calculation, something closer to a complete detachment from reality? The trial of John Wayne Gacy opened in 1980 and became one of the most closely watched legal proceedings in American history. His defense team, led by Sam Amarante, argued that Gacy suffered from paranoid schizophrenia and was legally insane during the murders. The prosecution, led by William Kunkel, presented a different picture. They showed the jury a man who had planned every murder with precision, who had hidden the evidence systematically over 6 years, who had run a successful business, managed employees, participated in politics, and charmed everyone around him during the exact same period he was committing the murders. Kunkel's argument was direct and devastating. This was not a man who did not know what he was doing. This was a man who knew exactly what he was doing and was extremely good at hiding it. On March 12, 1980, the jury deliberated for just under 9 hours and found John Wayne Gacy guilty on all 33 counts of murder. He was sentenced to death. He spent 14 years filing appeal after appeal, each one dismissed. On May 10, 1994, at 12:58 in the morning, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection at Stateville Correctional Center in Joliet, Illinois. His last meal was a bucket of KFC, a dark echo of his early career managing his wife's family franchise in Iowa. When asked for his final words, Gacy looked at the people in that room and said 3 words: "Kiss my ass." John Wayne Gacy has been dead for 30 years. But the case is not closed. As of 2025, 5 of his 33 victims remain unidentified. Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart reopened the identification effort in 2011 using modern DNA technology and forensic genealogy. Since then, 3 previously unnamed victims have been identified. In 2017, victim number 19 was identified as 16-year-old James Hawkinson. In 2021, victim number 5 was identified as Francis Wayne Alexander, a young man from North Carolina whose family had spent 40 years not knowing what had happened to him. 5 victims remain. Somewhere there are families who have been missing a son, a brother, a friend for nearly 50 years and have no answer. The Cook County Sheriff's Office is still actively working the case. Lead investigator Lieutenant Jason Moran has said publicly that the work is about the victims, not the headlines. If you believe a male relative went missing in the Chicago area between 1970 and 1978, the Cook County Sheriff's Office is asking for DNA samples. The number is on their official website. 5 families are still waiting. 5 young men are still waiting to come home. The thing that stays with you about John Wayne Gacy is not the number. 33 is so large it becomes abstract. What stays with you is the ordinary Tuesday afternoon. The block party where he poured drinks and told jokes. The children's hospital where he drew cartoon characters for sick kids. The photograph with the First Lady. The coffee he poured for the officers watching his house while the bodies were under the floor. What stays with you is the question that this case forces you to ask, not about John Wayne Gacy, but about all of us. How well do we really know the people around us? How many of the faces we see every day are performing something that has nothing to do with what is happening behind closed doors? Gacy was not a monster who looked like a monster. He was a monster who looked like everyone else. And in the end, that is the most disturbing thing he left behind. Not the crawl space, not the clown costume, not the 33 names. The knowledge that evil does not always announce itself. Sometimes it shakes your hand and offers you coffee and smiles and asks how the kids are doing. 33 names, 5 still waiting to be known. If this case affected you the way it affects everyone who looks at it closely, subscribe to Vault of Crime. Every week we go deep into the cases that deserve more than a headline, the ones that stay with you, the ones that matter. We will see you in the next one.